So, you've just coughed up 100 million credit card numbers. What do? You got to tell somebody about it. So the best way to do it while something else is going on, like say, a presidential inauguration. Thought that was a pretty good plan. Second, you got to look back and figure out how those credit card numbers were coughed up. Are the standards that you're using flawed? Are the processes and procedures that you're using to test those standards flawed? Well, the payment card industry data security standards are there for a reason. But when the mechanisms that are used to determine whether they're being implemented properly are flawed, you're going to wind up with people coughing up credit card numbers. Listening to the pundits talk about it and listening to folks pontificate at length, much as I'm doing here, has been rather interesting because a lot of people seem to blame the PCI standards and they seem to blame the vendors for not coming up with good enough security solutions for it. Maybe it's the mechanisms that they're using to test. Maybe it's the methods and procedures that they're using to test to see if those standards are implemented properly. Maybe that's really part of the problem. You can have great standards. And you can have a noisy phone. You can have great standards. But if the mechanisms for verifying and validating those standards are flawed, in the end you're going to wind up with holes, you're going to wind up with cracks, you're going to wind up with people breaking into your systems and stealing your credit card numbers. Okay, well, we've had enough of this noisy phone here. So what's the end solution to that? So what are you going to do? Use the same processes and procedures that we've been using for the last 25 years? Are we going to break out of it? Are we going to do something different? Well, my hunch is there's 100 million people out there that are pretty unhappy about the fact that their credit card information has been turned over to people that are obviously going to use it to steal from them. How is Heartland going to deal with that? I'm sure their marketing machine is going like a banshee right now, trying to figure out a way to deal with damage control. I have to admit, it was a good start, announcing it on Inauguration Day. But I guess the next question is, what are we as an industry going to do to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Are we going to enforce some standards? Are there some requirements for outside testing? Yes, PCI says you got to have a third party look at it, but what procedures and what processes are they using? I would submit that those procedures and processes have been in place and being used for the last 25 years and they're still broken. We need to do something different.